Hi guys, I'm back for the 11th video of the Today Skill series. So this video is about how to plan and prepare before making a CV. Now, CV preparation is actually very essential to make a proper CV because while in the last video I have spoken about how to make a smart CV, what you should write and all that, but what exactly is relatable to you and which all points you will be writing in that particular CV, for that you need an elaborate amount of work, pre-work you can say, before making that CV. Now, if you are watching this particular video, the objective is obviously to help you make the CV. So you may be someone who has just done his MBA or graduation and is looking for job, or someone who is employed but is looking for better opportunity, and henceforth is looking for ways in which he can enhance his employability. Now, most people of all these categories have make a very common mistake. They try to get a quick solution and they copy free templates and make their CV in a very quick manner and feel that their job is done and it is now up to the Naukri to place them or the recruiter to find them. But later on, they find they are not getting enough calls from recruiters, in spite of making a CV and all the effort in uploading it in various platforms, sharing with friends and contacts, and yet there is not much progress in terms of getting calls. So some of them even go ahead to invest money in getting consultants to make their CV and in a very premium manner, and even waste 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 20,000 of rupees just to get upgraded CV, and then also the calls usually don't come. Now, please understand, as a HR professional only, I'm saying that please understand the CV is not just about the template you select, but it is more about the content that you enter in the CV and also the way you present it. So, see, as I told in the last video also, that CV is the only document which will remain throughout the entire part of the interview process leading up to the final selection and offer. So CV making, especially smart CV making, would require a lot of work in the background. And this particular video is about that particular work and enabling you to get a particular proper smart CV. So the background area is what we'll be covering right now. Okay, thank you. So now let's move to the next part of the video. So rule of 5. Now, I don't know whether you have already heard it, but this is actually a golden rule which we use while drafting CVs. Now, the work that would form the foundation of your CV actually can be classified in 5 different points. Okay, so actually this is the part which most applicants conveniently or lazily overlook, jeopardizing the very foundation of the CV. It means actually, if you look at the essence of these points and you go through the ones that is being shown here in this particular slide of the video, it essentially in outline means that first identify your strength, then collect data in a smart way about competition and work that they do, and identify key metrics and understand the scale of evaluation, and then identify how the work relates to your organization outcomes and link it. This will give you actually the full, more or less the full material for your CV. So if you go point by point, here you will find that first point we have said here, that identify your strength and weakness, which is important, and then collect the data of work specifics and education competition data. Then the third point is to identify what work is similar function as you they usually do, and what customer expects. And then the fourth point, identify what the scale of evaluations are. And then the last point is identify how your work relates to the org outcomes, because these all 5 points have to be visible in the CV, and whatever you will be writing will have to have this content. Otherwise, the CV will be rejected, and therefore it's important to draft the CV accordingly so that the rejection rate is low. Okay, so let's move So first is how to identify your professional strength and professional weakness. Now, see, most of us actually have this fake feeling that okay, we all know our strengths and weaknesses. And in fact, most of the job interview also they usually ask this question: what is your strength? What is your weakness? And usually people give a very common generic answer and end up also being more and more confused about what the answer should be. But it's not about the interview stage job and strength and weakness. It is about your actual understanding of your strength and weakness as a professional employed in an industry, as also say for on if you are a student, then in that case you're being a student also you're asked what your strength and weakness are in terms of your future employment in the industry. So both these aspects, analysis of your strength and weakness vis-a-vis the industry is very important. So that area you have to understand. So how you can go ahead and do it in a proper manner. See, that is what is actually shown here in this particular slide. So actually it is far more difficult than just saying that this things needs to be done and you do it. You have to understand a few things. Okay, so you need to have a proper approach of finding these attributes. It is definitely not a common word for all, like say hard work or even overwork, which actually most aspirants say in their interviews. So when you are yourself analyzing your professional strengths and weaknesses in a taking some time and understanding of which all what job you do and what are the industry expectations and all these things, so it has to be a very elaborate approach. First understand the industry standards first, so then compare with yourself to that. So say example I'm giving you. So say you are a HR manager. If you have taken part in national competitions, that will give you understanding of where you stand in terms of competencies, or say they will also give you percentiles, then that data can be of use. If you have not done that, then you have to see whether you have taken part in case study competitions by your business, or that will give you a percentile of some nature, and that can be quoted and later on defended in further interviews and all that. So if that is also available, then that also you can look at, because they will give you percentiles on various competencies like innovation, problems solutioning. So if you are quoting all these figures from a particular competition, then you can also defend it in interview also. What most people do actually is that they try to navigate quickly to their strength as per their own perception, and then actually make a mess, because counter questioning or even from the recruiter perspective in the CV selection stage only, they find that the strength that has been written down is not actually a very standard one. So actually it takes time and experience to understand the professional makeup, as well as the whole climate in which the businesses happen. And if someone has a professional guidance from a senior, that helps. But if say you don't have it, then what to do? I mean, you can only understand them by your own professional understanding, as well as your evaluation of the selling features. So like say for a sales manager, if he has to understand himself, then he will have to reflect on various things like what are the selling features, what is the product understanding that is required in getting that particular thing. So overall schema he have to first understand, like as a sales manager, what are the key attributes. Like one obviously would be the selling ability. So selling ability has to be broken down. It has to be communication skill, there has to be analytical skills, there again the product understanding, then influence skills. So all of these skills are very critical. So out of this also they have to understand which is first, which is second, which is third. So how do you understand all these things? So you have to understand this from, mostly you can say, from the JDs that are there of the jobs in which you are applying. So they will give you some job specifications. From the job specifications, again you will have to understand that which are the common ones in most of the jobs. So from there you will understand which is the basic skills they are looking for. Then what you have to do, say suppose you are an HR manager. Okay, for more understanding and clarity, if you have say you obviously need to have good analytical skills, negotiation skills, because for offer negotiation, etc. Then HR understanding, ability to innovate, and people centric solutions. So all of these skills have to be there in general. But again, when you are making the CV and for a particular job, you have to see your profile and then match with it. So if you are a recruiter, then your requirement will not be just the generic ones. It will be more of, say, negotiation skills, more of understanding of systems and policies. So accordingly, you'll go ahead and then understanding the recruitment structure. So that structure understanding. So the common competence areas you'll have to take up, and then those around that you have to build the CV. So here in mental level, you have to do the mapping correct. So you may say as a talent acquisition, then negotiation will become important as well as communication. If in sales, in a frontline manager, then you need to have a team building skill as well as product understanding and influence skills. If you are a manager, so that's why when the team building skills comes more important. If it's just on the front line with no reporting, then this skill will not be required. So overall, obviously, in all of sales and HR also, you will require a lot of result orientation. So if you are back-end manager, say if you're someone who is operates on the computer, fill some data and all these things, so then good analytical skills becomes important. Then communication skill and business understanding also becomes important, because ultimately you will be figuring out data and showing those data to the customer, or say even within in their organization, your bosses, explaining them the work as this has to be more linked with the business outcomes. So then only the analytics will be handy. So to understand the business becomes very important. So that's why apart from data analytics, communication skill, business understanding becomes integral for this kind of roles. So actually it depends on which all roles you are actually there, but these are broadly the 3-4 sets which I believe that you would give you a good orientation to exactly where I am coming from and what I am talking about. So about regarding defined skills and all that. So here in this particular slide also you'll see that you have I've outlined the basic model. So it's about compare with the industry standards existing and check where you stand, and then identify selling features of your work expertise. The third is obviously compare your skill set with the sample JD. So that there, from there you will get the link. So you'll get to know which particular competency you yourself should do it. So it's not like all of HR will have same. So if particularly recruitment, then something else. For sales, obviously, again I told you that which all things you must focus. So there are some important notes also to which you must also keep in mind. So like every individual is different. So once you know the skill that is needed, you will have to link that with your own skill set, basis your achievements and experiences. Example, say you have identified that you are a sales employee in frontline. The role in which you are applying or would be applying would be essentially requiring, say, good communication skill, result orientation, trade understanding, and innovation. Now, you would need to check whether you have won any group discussion or any competition of this kind which checks or utilizes this kind of skills. So if yes, then put the data. If no, then take a test or say find out about the other tests which are available at this point in time in the industry which can showcase your skills. Like say for English, if you want to think about the verbal understand communication, as well as then you can talk about TOEFL. And if you are looking at written communication also, if English is a very important aspect, then you have to look at the GRE. So all of these things, then this gives adds weightage. If you have a good score there, you can quote that that's a valid test, so that will attract obviously the recruiter if that is the competency that is being looked into. Then see, if you I understand that most of you will feel tentative by thinking that I don't have anything like this or particular skill. If suppose I don't have anything like this skill, or say because some people have interacted, they feel that okay, they don't have much skill, at least on the face value of it, or they don't even explore that what exactly the skills are and how much they have evaluated. They said okay, I must not need the job and that's all, I don't think too much into the skill. So the problem actually happens there only. So don't think like that by because you have to be self-aware in the end, because in the interview also and while at the point of making the CV also, you have to be exhibit that in the full process. So if you do all of this analysis and build up around that the CV with by taking the adequate test, etc., and building up all this preparation that is required to make the CV, you will definitely be able to make a winning CV, which will definitely help you get in a particular job. Okay, so that is the bottom line. Now, how and what data to collect? So again, this is also another question which is commonly, very commonly asked. like what data to collect and what data to put in the particular CV. So please understand what you did or did not do is only known to you and your boss. So when you are writing the CV, you must keep that also in mind. That it's not that I'm not encouraging you to bias the data, but it's like you have to understand what data you are putting and how completely it is coming through. Because the person who will be reading that CV will not have that same background as you have. So so the recruiter, what he will do, he will try to guess out of that particular CV how much work you have actually done. Now, if data is not there, it means everything you wrote is more of your opinion. And once you put data in support, it becomes more and more convincing and relatable. If you are writing about scores in education, highlight high percentiles as that is more relevant. If you have participated in case study, highlight your percentile, standing, and rank. If you are say a salesman and doing say sales of a product like say plastic bottle, you can collect data on your sales rank and also percentage increase in sales volume in figures during say handling of a particular territory, and also have to write about the national average so that they can deduce something out of it. So you may also want to highlight say result orientation by saying things like what led to that increase. We have say 20% increase in shop meets, say identifying new outlets. So all of these activity in the same line you have put. Say identify new outlets via sales merchant chain to add 24% more dealers during the 6-month period and rain selling. So by rain selling you have added more and more SKUs sold to this new segment basis survey conducted in say March 2020. So you have to have this data ready. So you have to see the March report, have this report, who is going to compile this report, because these all questions will definitely come if you are quoting the data. But then it is the data only by which you can showcase your credibility. So so there is no other way. So you have to go around that only. So this so for this, if you want to see in this format, I mean the main points. The main points here is as shown here. So you have to collect data from registers, team data logs, your supervisors, KPI data sheets, whichever you have. So you have to collect all this. Then collect the data from newspapers. If suppose you are having an education this thing and you are not getting up exact percentage, so you how will you get that? So you have to see the newspaper, how many people actually appeared, what is the score range. You have to search the Google. So most of the exams have usually show bands that above this particular score, it is 99 percentile. Say between this and this is this. So then you have this data and save it somewhere in the folder. So later on you can also reproduce it on cross examination. So to collect the data of competitions also. So from there you will get especially if you have taken any case study, how many people actually appeared, if the report itself or they say the mark sheet that they have given, if the mention is there, it's fine. If that is not, then you have to collect the data. So this data collection is very critical. So apart from that, what like important things also are there which you must note during this particular data collection exercise. So when you are collecting the data, you have to understand that the data which is needed in a smart verifiable CV has to be, has to be coming through in the proof of genuity. I mean, by test of rationality and the test of observation. So that thing, this point, this line has to be understood. Now you have to, this genuity will be tested by the rationality and also the test of observation. So if the recruiter would definitely know that particular from his own experience of his own industry, that what is the average trend. So it cannot be, you cannot just quote random figures, and if that is not reflective of the industry, then he will definitely know that this particular data is wrong, and therefore your CV will be rejected. The data is needed for understanding the showing the exact status of marks, because what happens is that getting 30 out of 100 is bad, but if the highest score is that in that exam is 30, then 30 is excellent. So that percentile positioning becomes important. Then data gives insight on work understanding and also the candidate's aptitude to create data to showcase key performance areas post accurate self-assessment. So all of these things comes out from this particular CV. So you have to showcase all of these things here. So these things has to be kept in mind. So just flipping through. So what happened is say like what others in similar function as you do as per JD and what customer expects. So this area again, what happens is people do often neglect this part also. So what happens is that next, in terms of role in your overall function, sometimes people tend to disregard others' role in the organizational fulfillment. So therefore, they can't segregate their own role in the overall view. So for functions like say marketing, usually it is say for just for example, so percentage increase in revenue or percentage increase in profitability. For HR, it will be percentage increase in productivity or say percentage cost per full-time employee. So it has to be downward trend. So now try to link sub-department functions. Okay, so only then you'll be able to understand how to link your role with the org outcome, and within that one sentence you'll be able to show or tell about that. Like say recruitment, if you are working in, then you'll have to speak about in the sentences that will how you have reduced cost or improved the first year performance metric. So that will show that what quality of recruitment you are doing. Or if you are in PMS team, then you have to say how much you have weeded out roles and improved JDs, so increase productivity, so that overall. So all of these things, so sub functions will actually have some impact on the main functions, main outputs. So as I just said, that for HR, the final main outputs will obviously be about increasing in productivity and also the decreasing in cost of a full-time hire. So all of these functions we are working, so they will have some parameters will hit that. So those parameters have to be brought through. So it will be, say, if sort of sales front end, if you are working in, then you'll have it will be say impact the marketing outcomes of say profitability and revenue. Then you will have to talk about your range selling and the coverage, new customers added, sales, repetitive sales for the old customer. So all of these metrics you'll have to speak of if you are there in this particular role of sales front end. So, so again, this is not just about understanding the KPIs, because KPIs for different functions and different organizations will be different, and it is not always easy to understand the KPIs from all the grammar and data that is quoted in the KPIs, and to relate that to the final outcome. So that's why I'm saying that you have to come back and left statement. So to understand the broad exact or say most commonly used outcomes of particular department at the org level, and then try to drill down into the roles which are there in the organization and where you stand by and what that particular roles outcome would be in terms of its org alignment. So here also I have tried to write down some points like say formulate understanding of link between work and outcome expected from customer angle. So this actually helps in going to the correct analysis and reducing the noise around the analysis. So if you look at other areas like say check, the second point also I've written that check which KPIs of your work directly or indirectly impact customer and which of these is most important. They identify key differentiating metrics for function and division, which I just told. Then important things here, which you must note, important things here is that you have to understand the inputs and outputs. Okay, so that you can focus on the inputs which you are giving, which is leading to output. So verbs and overall CV, because in the lines only you start with the verb, right? Action verb. So you have to, everybody, any kind of a CV making agency also will always try to focus on these action verbs and make lots of action verbs. But thing is that your CV to be accurate and correct, you will have to. It's not just about the verbs. So you have to be. You are writing the correct thing. So the verbs and overall CV. So quantifiable manner, if something has to be taken out of that CV, then you have to write focus on these inputs and write about them in say action verbs. Then the company's function outcomes which you have must be clearly coming out from your CV also. So you're like how you are putting the input and what the output is coming out. So the output, the action output, that final outcomes that the company is expecting. So that will also give an idea of the recruiter that what particular company is that, and what is the whether you have understood that organization also, and the outcomes that are aligned with it. So if inputs are well defined, then after reading the CV, it can be easily understood how your work is and how that it is translating into a business outcome. So that is enough, I think, for a hiring decision. So this is the last and the most important point we are all looking at and trying to do. So it's not just about getting the KPIs right. So identifying the key differentiating metric becomes very important. Okay, so like say for marketing, maybe it's a percentage lead generated from the number of users touched, whether that is higher than the industry benchmark or not. So those things 50% of it, where the number of say you have did hundreds of meets. So each of these meets, what is the average number of conversion? So it is whether it is 50% or what is the industry benchmark. So against that, you have to say that industry benchmark is 30%. I have got 25% or 35%. Even if it is less than the benchmark, still you can showcase the full data. Then the recruiter definitely will take note. So next is what are the scales of evaluation? So scales of evaluation actually is, as by the term itself is evident, that how recruiter actually will evaluate the CV once you share the CV. So actually from end user, obviously it's not very easy to understand what exactly the scales are. So that's why I'm trying to list it down. So say the evaluation will vary from CV to CV. So you have whatever you will be saying that the recruiter will be evaluating. So that what you are saying now, if you are saying say you are good at studies, then you have to quote the percentile positioning in the examinations of repute, which the recruiter would know of those examinations what you have done. The specifics in CV well rounded and then grammar etc will be correct. If you are saying that you are very high percentile and your CV is all the has all the wrong grammars and everything, so that means that you have quoted it wrongly and that is definitely not your skill, and whatever data you have quoted in support of it, it will not be correct. So you will anyways get rejected. Then say you are writing that I am good at work at some point in the mission statement or somewhere. The linkage of work outcome data has to be proper. Okay, so that means data on say job tenures in the organizations is sufficient, and promotion data should also be there. So if you are good at work, means you will have got promoted from which role to which role you have moved in during your career. So which periods you have gone work, what exact work you did, the way you have enlisted those works. So that proves many things. Then if you are like good at innovation, so you may say that I am good at innovation. Everybody has every right to say, put some added attributes to him or her. You say you may talk about say hobbies, then but you have to understand when you are saying good at innovation, then your hobbies etc will obviously be there. The innovation related kind of something will come out, or the work as a whole, whatever you are quoting, that work initiatives which you have come out, that things should point to that. And it's not like that you how much whether you have said that you have written the word innovation and given 5 points or not. That doesn't hold any value. So good at involvement, if you are writing, then you have to say that has to be coming through in the CV. Like what are the positions of responsibility you have worked in? What is that enumerations of work, cascading in those involvement. So whatever work you have done in those particular things, positions of responsibility. So these all things, so has to be there. So how you aided even in sales, if you are involvement. So like say there was a requirement, anything you have done out of their the basic job descriptions or not, how you aided that particular team. All of these things becomes important. And if you are writing all these things and you want to focus on such areas. So it's not just about putting words in the particular CV and giving yourself even ratings. Say example wise, before moving to the last slide, I would say that as a aspirant, say you say example is that what is coming out, like say suppose your role is if you are saying that you are working in a sales team. Okay, so now suppose the example wise, so you say that you did cold calling and store visit as and when told, but you have in your CV you have said that you have given yourself that I in a mission statement or somewhere else that you are good at leadership and you show passion towards the job. Then if you are saying that you used to cold calling and short visit as and when told, that means that your boss guides you. So that means you are not sure why you are doing this particular activity, what outcome you are trying to achieve. So if you say, say for other example, say if you say increase revenue, like you are doing some data reporting and your work is say data reporting or some MIS related work. So you say that in the CV in somewhere that you have increased revenue by doing data reporting. Then it makes no sense. You have to link it properly. So say you increase revenue by 5% over national average per person by data reporting to clients on call for say 6-month period in a turnaround time of say 1 day by using advanced software and automation. So then it comes through. But if you are just saying this, then it makes no sense. So if you are a factory machine manager or say factory machine operator or something, then if you are having usually factory machine operators don't have series, but if you are manager of that kind of this setup, then you have to refer your work as say percentage of sales order received and link it accordingly, because without order machines won't run. So saying say that 100% operational machines in every shift with zero issues to meet 100% targets is a very vague statement which will undermine your employment ability actually. So it will more of lead to rejection, even though you have put 100% everywhere and you have written all the very great action verbs and everything. Okay, that's important. So how your work relates to your org outcomes. This is the very last this thing understanding that will be shared with you in this particular video. So as has been shown in the slide itself, so see, try to link your work to the final outcome by understanding the process also. So what that means. So say overview of the business you must have for any business. Okay, so it's like how it happens. Like HR hires basically say budget from the CEO, and then supervises a member consistency to desired outcome. So that's the role of the HR department and a broader scheme of things. Then the marketing generates brand and sales uses that brand to close a deal. That's a broad understanding of the sales department. The manufacturing makes basis that whatever deal the salesperson has provided, and accordingly they will make the product basis the timelines whatever is shared. Then logistics purchases basis the deal. The deal is nothing but the sales deal. So say whatever the sales initial sales discussion with the customer has been, and accordingly they will purchase basis the requirement which are there for that particular product, the raw materials and etc. And then arrange also after the production has been done in the manufacturing, you'll transport that product to the customer. Customer gives feedback, complaints to the usually the customer services team, which relays it to the logistics and the marketing team, and which even sometimes the customer service team is also part of marketing, but sometimes it's a separate team. So then again, both these teams and the customer service team also relay all of these things in a closed group within the manufacturing. Depending on the particular product, there will it may be a cross-functional team, but there is usually a group which will discuss all these things and then do understanding of where they are. So so what you have to now when you are leading now to the outcomes now of these broad departments and seeing your job and trying to lead it, always try to understand what are the lead and lag parameters of your job. So if you say are you in sales plot line, then you speak of your order conversion rate as customer utility. So you focus on these areas. And then when you are talking about order conversion, you have to talk about your DRCP rate, your product certification score, your product understanding, your customer influence score, your meet attendance in footfall, then how many of these are getting converted, then your order collection due rate. So if there is a collection due which is there, what is the amount, and all these things. This all things is to come down in these few lines. So there has to be totally well knit. So so understanding all this is, and also talking about standards within that particular document, you will require your understanding of this particular each of these things, and then what are the benchmarks, and then accordingly writing that particular thing in the CV. So so this is broadly it. I mean, then if you have any particular question, you can always leave in this particular in the bottom of this particular video as a comments. I will definitely come back to it and try to answer it in full. Hope you liked the video. Thank you.